Why should you not be worried about student loan interest accruing? A lot of the people that I talk to, they're just so afraid of their student loan just getting so big. Every month you open up your statement, you feel like you just had a new gigantic, $2,000 to $3,000 interest expense in some cases hitting you in the face. And one of the most common complaints that I hear from people is, gosh, I paid, 50% of what I originally borrowed, and somehow my debt's even larger than it was when I started. So I completely understand the stress and the anxiety surrounding student loan debt growing and not going down when that's what you want it to do in a lot of cases emotionally. But, student loan interest accruing is actually one of the best things that exists in the student loan repayment system that we have today in terms of how good it is for you as the borrower. So if you think about it this way, if you had a credit card loan and you were not paying all of the loan off every month, in other words, it was accruing interest, then credit card debt would compound against you. You would have the credit card interest grow exponentially if you were making, the $25 a month payments. And that is really deadly. That's why people have so much credit card debt. Your typical American will really run up a massive bill simply because that credit card interest is at 25%. So that's doubling every 3 years. And if you're making the minimum payments within 5 to 10 years, you could have 4 or 5 times maybe what you originally borrowed, which is just kind of crazy if you think about it. Now with student loan debt, the balances are way bigger than credit card debt, especially for a graduate degree. So that part is more challenging. So you will see large interest charges because student loan debt principal is already really large. But with student loans, with the interest accruing, what that means is, say you have $100,000 of student loans and your payment is $0 a month on pay as you earn, and you have a $6,000 interest charge. Well, instead of that $6,000 interest charge going into what you owe every single year on the pay as you earn plan or any income-based plan, that interest is going to grow at a linear rate, kind of an additive rate, where it's sort of getting stacked on top of itself instead of getting added into the principal, and then that interest would be generating additional interest costs. So the following year, your interest cost might not be $6,000, it might be $6,300, $6,400, and then it would just continue to compound like that over decades. So because of the student loan interest accrual benefit that exists for any income-driven repayment plan, the very worst case scenario is that your student loan is going to be growing at a linear rate. Now that's really, really good because that makes investing a lot more compelling than paying down your debt if you're going for a loan forgiveness strategy, because investments tend to compound over long periods of time, especially if they're well diversified, whereas your student loan debt is going to grow at this linear rate. So even people that are afraid of Congress taking away loan forgiveness and really pulling the rug out from under people with income-driven repayment plans that would no longer exist, that's not something that you should really be worried about because of this interest accrual benefit, because this debt's not going to be compounding against you. Now, what are some ways that your student loan interest can capitalize and compound on you and grow the interest that you actually have to pay? The most common thing that's not avoidable is when you have you enter repayment coming out of a grace period coming out of school. So you either consolidate your loans or you come out of the grace period and all the interest capitalizes. So that happens to everybody. You really can't avoid that. One thing that is avoidable, though, is signing up for forbearance or deferment when you don't need to, or switching repayment plans when you don't need to. So those two things are the most common ways that I see people capitalize their interest and have compound interest on their student loan debt. Now, when you refinance, you're required to pay more than the interest charges every month. Otherwise, they wouldn't let you refinance in the first place. So that's called a positive amortization schedule. So that means that you don't really have to worry about interest compounding on you if you refinance your student loans, because the interest is actually getting paid down and you're actually having declining interest charges every year and every month. So that is a little bit of an outline of student loan interest accrual. Hope you don't have to worry about it. Hope you can take a load off and not be stressed about it.